Ever sat down for a horror movie, bracing yourself for jump scares and sleepless nights, only to find yourself more entertained than terrified? Horror movies are supposed to keep you on edge, but not all of them hit the mark. Some R-rated horror flicks are filled with gore and tension, yet they lack that heart-pounding fear factor. What's the deal with these movies? How can something rated for mature audiences fail to deliver the scares? Today, we're counting down 10 R-rated horror movies that, despite their labels, won't leave you hiding under the covers. Before we jump into the list, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and click the notification bell for more intriguing movie insights. Number 10. The Cabin in the Woods, 2012. The Cabin in the Woods starts off with a familiar trope: 5 friends heading to a secluded cabin for a fun getaway. As the group encounters various monsters, the story takes a twist. These dangers are actually being manipulated by a group of technicians. What begins as a typical horror setup quickly evolves into a commentary on the genre itself. The movie intentionally leans into dark humor and sarcasm, poking fun at the cliché found in slasher films. By playing with audience expectations, The Cabin in the Woods becomes more of a satirical piece than a traditional horror movie. While the film does include some graphic deaths, its primary goal isn't to scare, but to critique the overuse of certain horror tropes, especially those involving torture and gore. Number 9. The Menu, 2022. The Menu blends horror with black comedy, presenting a story that's more unsettling than outright scary. The plot follows a young couple, Margot and Tyler, as they attend an exclusive dining experience on a remote island. As the evening progresses, it becomes clear that the celebrity chef, Julian Slowik, has sinister plans for his guests. While the movie has elements of horror, it leans heavily into satire, critiquing high-end dining culture, class dynamics, and artistic obsession. The elegant setting of the restaurant and the island contrasts sharply with the dark events unfolding, creating a stylish yet eerie atmosphere. Number 8. What We Do in the Shadows, 2014. What We Do in the Shadows takes the concept of a horror movie and flips it on its head. This mockumentary follows 4 vampire roommates, Vago, Vladislav, Deacon, and Peter, living in a quiet New Zealand suburb. Instead of focusing on the typical bloodthirsty vampire antics, the film explores their mundane struggles, like paying rent and keeping up with household chores. The humor in What We Do in the Shadows comes from seeing these ancient, powerful creatures dealing with everyday problems. The movie portrays vampires as relatable, flawed beings rather than fearsome monsters. Number 7. You're Next, 2011. You're Next presents itself as a classic home invasion horror, but it quickly shifts into something more akin to an action thriller. The story centers on the dysfunctional Davison family, who are attacked by masked assailants during a family gathering. However, the attackers are caught off guard by one of the guests, Erin, who turns out to be surprisingly skilled in survival tactics. Erin's resourcefulness and ability to fight back against the intruders transform the movie from a typical horror flick into a high-energy thriller. The violence is more reminiscent of action films than horror, reducing the fear factor significantly. Instead of feeling vulnerable, viewers might find themselves rooting for Erin as she takes down the attackers with her clever traps and quick thinking. Number 6. Carrie, 2013. The 2013 remake of Carrie aimed to update the classic Stephen King story for a modern audience, but it struggled to deliver the same impact as the original. The movie follows Carrie White, a high school outcast who is severely bullied and oppressed by her fanatically religious mother. After a cruel prank at prom, Carrie uses her newfound telekinetic powers to exact revenge. Despite its R rating and the potential for horror, this version of Carrie falls short in the scare department. The film closely follows the plot of the 1976 original without adding much new, which leaves it feeling predictable. Additionally, the decision to cut a significant amount of footage before release likely weakened the film's impact. Number 5. The Black Coat's Daughter, 2015. The Black Coat's Daughter is a slow-burn horror film that intertwines 2 timelines. The first follows Kat and Rose, 2 students left behind at a Catholic boarding school during a break. The second focuses on Joan, a woman who escapes a mental institution and heads toward the school for reasons unknown. The film is more atmospheric than terrifying, using subtle supernatural elements and psychological tension to create a sense of unease. The mysterious evil force haunting the school is rarely seen, which adds to the film's eerie vibe but doesn't provide many outright scares. Instead, the Blackcoat's daughter delves into themes of isolation, identity, and faith, making it more emotionally impactful than frightening. Number 4. Gothika, 2003. Gothika is more of a psychological mystery than a horror movie. It follows Miranda Gray, a psychiatrist who wakes up one day to find herself committed to the same mental institution where she works. Accused of murdering her husband, Miranda struggles to piece together what really happened, all while being haunted by the ghost of a dead girl. The film uses elements of psychological horror, particularly Miranda's inability to distinguish between reality and hallucination. However, the focus is largely on unraveling the mystery of her husband's death, rather than creating a genuinely scary atmosphere. Number 3. Jennifer's Body, 2009. Jennifer's Body blends horror with dark comedy to tell the story of Jennifer and her best friend Needy. After being sacrificed by a rock band that believes her to be a virgin, Jennifer turns into a succubus who preys on the boys in her town. The film explores themes of friendship, sexuality, and the way society views women's bodies. Despite its horror elements, Jennifer's Body leans heavily into comedy, making it more entertaining than scary. The film is often praised for its feminist undertones and its subversion of traditional horror tropes, particularly the portrayal of its female characters. While there are some creepy moments, the focus is more on delivering a satirical commentary than on providing scares. Number 2. Let Me In, 2010. Let Me In is a remake of the Swedish film Let the Right One In, focusing on the relationship between a bullied boy, Owen, and his new neighbor, Abby, who turns out to be a vampire. Set against the backdrop of an ongoing murder investigation, the film explores themes of loneliness, friendship, and the darkness that can lurk beneath the surface of innocence. While Let Me In contains horror elements, the scares are more subdued and psychological rather than overt. The film creates a chilling atmosphere through its depiction of the characters' emotional struggles and the eerie, isolated setting. The horror lies more in the disturbing nature of the relationship between Owen and Abby, as well as the moral complexities of Abby's actions. Number 1. House of Wax, 2005. House of Wax follows a group of friends who stumble upon a small town with a mysterious wax museum while on their way to a football game. The museum, however, holds a dark secret. Its exhibits are created using real people, encased in wax by a pair of murderous twin brothers. Despite the gruesome concept, House of Wax fails to deliver consistent scares. The plot is predictable, with characters making typical horror movie mistakes, and the villains are portrayed in an over-the-top, almost cartoonish manner. This lack of suspense and emotional investment makes the film more of a guilty pleasure than a truly terrifying experience. Though it gained a cult following over the years, House of Wax remains more memorable for its campy thrills than for any genuine scares. So there you have it, 10 R-rated horror movies that won't have you jumping out of your seat. If you're looking for horror that entertains without the fear factor, these movies are worth a watch. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more movie insights.